I spoke with Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Senator, good to see you this evening.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So you heard those words from Newt Gingrich. He's basically saying, you know, if you can't get this through, move on, get tax reform done, or else say welcome back to Nancy Pelosi in 2019.
Well, who knew health care could be so complicated? No, I think we all knew all along that it was a complicated subject. But, you know, the one thing we promised and the one thing that unified us in 4 elections was really that we were for repealing Obamacare. That really brought us together. We won elections because of that. So it disappoints me that when we finally get to repealing Obamacare, it turned into an insurance bailout super fund. I mean, $180 billion to insurance companies that make $15 billion a year in profit. That's not repeal. That's simply a big government boondoggle.
But if you don't have enough people who will go along with repeal,
well,
which you don't, because they're now saying they can't even do the repeal vote.
Yeah, people ought to keep their promise. Today, you know, the Senate leadership announced that we are going to have a vote, and the vote would be on repealing it, the 2015 bill. 51 out of 52 of us, Republican senators, voted for repeal in 2015.
Collins and Kirk both voted against, right?
Well, there are at least 2 senators now saying they're against who actually were for. And so the thing is that overwhelmingly Republicans voted for the 2015 bill. And really, if people are no longer for repeal, they're going to need to go home and explain to their voters why they said they were for repeal and now they're no longer for repeal.
All right. But, you know, they're also going to have to explain to the voters why they've got the House and the Senate and they couldn't come to some kind of agreement. And I think a lot of people listen to the arguments that you make, especially when it comes to bailing out the insurance companies. And they understand what you're saying about that. And many think it's a very good point. But now it looks like you're going to have to deal with Democrats on something that is going to probably leave you in the dust on this issue.
Obamacare is imploding. There is a death spiral. The insurance premiums are going through the roof. There's monopolies. Insurers are leaving the marketplace. It is a disaster as we speak. But do we want to take it over and continue that disaster? The fundamental flaw of Obamacare is we added all these regulations that added cost to insurance. Young, healthy people said it costs too much. We're not buying it because we can buy it after we get sick. You know what? That all remains. All of those things, the fundamental flaw of Obamacare remains. So the whole death spiral continues.
But if you can't get that,
I know, but here's the problem.
Then you have Obamacare, and Republicans own it because they had an opportunity to fix it and they didn't do it.
If you vote for a Republican bill that keeps the death spiral and you simply say, oh, we're going to subsidize it with $180 billion worth of taxpayer money, that's not conservative, that's not Republican, that's not the free market, that's not what we promised. I promised to vote for repeal, and I'm going to keep my promise. So I've agreed to vote to go to the bill. If they bring the bill up tomorrow or the next day, I will vote to go to the bill if we're talking about a clean repeal. But I won't vote to go to a bill that's a bunch of pork and a bunch of big government entitlement programs.
I get where you're coming from. What do you say to those who are now suggesting that maybe Senator McConnell is not the person to unite your party? Should it be someone else?
I don't think the fault lies with leadership. I think the fault lies with those who promised to repeal and won't now vote to repeal. As far as I know, Senator McConnell promised to repeal, and he will vote to repeal if it's brought up. I think the question should be asked to the people who voted for repeal previously, an identical bill, and now say they're not going to vote for an identical bill. They've got some serious explaining to do when they go home.
But are you going to have serious explaining to do when you go home when people say, look, at least you would have started to trim the growth of Medicare, and that's as much as we're going to get in this round, and then we go back for more?
I think it would have been worse than actually the existing Obamacare. The Republican plan kept the death spiral, kept the fundamental premise of Obamacare, and then added huge bailouts to insurance companies. I am fundamentally, absolutely opposed to giving insurance companies 1 penny of taxpayer dollars. They make $15 billion in profit. They don't deserve any of our taxpayer money.
Senator Rand Paul, thank you very much. Good to see you as always. Thanks for coming in. So as we mentioned at the top of the show, the White House announcing that the president will convene a lunch tomorrow. All 52 GOP